Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Wednesday's huge controversial show. I am not a snake oil salesperson. This is a platform about direct opinion about what happens in entertainment, especially in the DC live action universe. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I need to react to what's going on. Movies TV Mad, this platform, told you the truth from the very day that the Flash movie and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and Shazam Fury of the Gods were rescheduled. I told you something suspicious was going on. Every single day, go back to my videos, I said Batgirl hasn't got a release date. Why? Why hasn't Batgirl got a release date? Something nefarious is going on here. Warner Brothers Discovery have now got an international incident. Last night, they officially cancelled and shelved Batgirl. And I'm very surprised about the reaction from everyone on Twitter. I didn't expect that, and I'm sure Warner Brothers Discovery didn't expect that. People are very angry, but why are they angry? Why didn't they expect this? Because they don't know what I know. Jesus, Grace Randolph didn't see this happening. John Campier didn't see this happening. Boba Talks didn't see this happening. Seeing his tweets is astonishing. Someone like me that gets very few interactions, very few views and subs, knew what was going on for months, suspected it, found out about it directly. I've even spoke to multiple people who saw the test screening. We'll get into it later on. Very shortly, we're going to read an article because I think it's important to get the reasoning from Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery why they shelved Batgirl. But they do have an international incident here. Were they right to cancel this movie? Wouldn't it have been better in terms of public relations to either say we're binning this hobbling franchise, but why don't we take Leslie back and the directors back and tell them to go back and remake this movie no matter what it costs us? This movie cost around $90 million to make. How can you make a great superhero movie, whether it's going to be on HBO Max or releasing in theaters? How can 90 million make a great Batgirl movie? It can't. You need action, you need explosions, you need computer generated images. You need to make the best thing you can make. In a lot of ways, you know, it's not Zaslav's fault that 90 million only was invested in this movie. And from what I've heard from test audiences, it looks like a very, very cheap movie. What Zaslav is saying is it's not good enough to release on HBO Max, and it's certainly not the kind of movie we want to release in theatres. Zaslav has made it clear that he wants to focus DC films on the theatrical concept. You know, big, bold movies. And, you know, in theatres. So they can make money and people can enjoy them. He's trying to fix the mistakes of Toby Emmerich. 2 days after Toby Emmerich's gone, and they're already shelving Batgirl. But this decision was made long ago, everyone. But the reaction from everyone, journalists, actors, actresses, directors, people from other studios going, in 3 decades, we've never seen a movie shelved after it's been shot. Well, I can tell you a film that was shelved and hidden. Zack Snyder's Justice League was cancelled and reshot. Now, the best move for that would have been, if they didn't want Zack Snyder's Justice League to be released, is not to do Justice League, but reset the whole thing in the first place. So actually, in a lot of ways, Zaslav is making the right decision here. But if you want to start again, why not keep Leslie Grace? Why not keep the directors? Why not tell them to go back and make a better movie? And what does this mean for movies like Blue Beetle, which I'm very suspicious about? It didn't take long to shoot. Did Zaslav stop them in the middle of production? Are they lying that they completed the movie? Every time we saw a picture of them on location, the cast were on location having a coffee. So I'm very suspicious about that movie. People are worried about that movie. The only thing I can say on that movie's side, they've had a release date attached to it even before it went out for production. But that was pre-Zaslav. Zaslav can make a lot of ruthless decisions here. So there's going to be a financial call with Warner Brothers Discovery tomorrow. more heads could roll. I predict that Walter Hamada will officially be sacked as DC film president tomorrow. I could be wrong. I did tell you that heads would start to roll as soon as Emmerich left the building. And as soon as Toby Emmerich left the building, these situations happen. There's a lot to discuss here. The question is, was this the right move? I think for the future of DC live action, it was. But if you are going to bin this franchise after Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Black Adam, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, we know the 2 movies coming at the end of the year are definitely happening. And Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, they've just announced Ben Affleck to be in that movie. I would imagine that film is definitely happening, but the Amber Heard situation creates a very awkward situation there as well. If it was me, I would have sniffed that this was going to create an incident. People are so outraged by this cancellation. It's even been on the news in the UK. Good Morning Britain, are reporting this. This is huge because this is a female-led movie. Leslie Grace has Hispanic. Culturally, she's Hispanic. So a lot of these things are very political, very extremist. And the reaction is not what Warner Brothers Discovery expected. And if he doesn't bend the knee and go back on this, and I mean, could they complete the movie and release it for home release? I mean, they could do, but it's all going to cost money. So if it were me, personally, I will be looking at this deeply. Maybe this is the right decision. I feel it is the right decision going forward. But in the short term, this is not a good look for Warner Brothers Discovery, as we've seen from the outrage. So let's get the details here. Batgirl and Scoob. Yeah, let's not forget Scoob's been cancelled here. No one gives a shit, right? So Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt scrapped at Warner Brothers amid cost-saving push. This is not really about cost-saving push. What Zaslav is saying, there's no money to be made from this movie, either theatrically or on HBO Max. Anyway, the DC feature was budgeted around 80 million, with costs rising to nearly 90 million due to COVID-19 protocols, by Aaron Crouch of The Hollywood Reporter. In a surprising development, the only person who's not surprised is me. Warner Brothers will no longer be releasing Batgirl, the DC film that already completed shooting and was expected to arrive on HBO Max this year. The unusual move comes after a change in leadership at Warner's, with newly installed Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav prioritizing cost-cutting measures and refocusing Warner's on creating theatrical films rather than projects for streaming, as had been the priority for former Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar. There's no question, focusing DC theatrically, there's definitely more money to be made from it. But if you wanted a theatrical Batgirl movie with good quality, you could have gone back and fixed its problems. Wouldn't that have been better? But it would have cost them more money. So, interesting decision. Whether this pays off, we'll have to wait and see. Batgirl was budgeted at around 80 million, with costs rising to nearly 90 million due to COVID-19 protocols. It's a hefty sum, but significantly lower than DC theatrical releases. Thus, the film is said not to have the spectacle that audiences have come to expect from DC fare. Now, it's very important to understand David Zaslav didn't budget this movie. He didn't greenlight it. He's just trying to fix problems. The budget, I think, is the reason this film wasn't very, very good. It's not the director's fault. It's not the actress's fault. They're just the collateral damage. The Batman released in March had a budget of 185 million before marketing costs. Warner's has also decided to shelve animated feature Scooby Holiday Haunt, which had a budget in the 40 million range. Batgirl stars In the Heights breakout Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Let's remember, In the Heights was a flop as well. They're the first Latina to play the role and hails from Bad Boys for Life filmmakers Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. Its cast also includes Michael Keaton, who's in the movie for 15 minutes. As I say, I've spoken to test audiences. Back as Batman, J.K. Simmons as Barbara's father, Commissioner James Gordon, and Brendan Fraser as the villain Firefly. The New York Post first reported Batgirl would be scrapped. Now, this is very interesting because the New York Post doesn't normally break stories like this. This is how massive This was an unprecedented, and credit to the New York Post and that journalist. It was a huge scoop. The decision to not release Batgirl reflects our leadership's strategic shift as it relates to the DC Universe and HBO Max, said a Warner Brothers spokesperson in a statement. Leslie Grace is an incredibly talented actor. This decision is not a reflection of her performance. We are incredibly grateful to the filmmakers of Batgirl and Scoop, Holiday Horn, and their respective cast, and we hope to collaborate with everyone again in the near future. By the way, Leslie Grace is still with Warner Brothers, so she's pretty much owned by them, so she'll be back with them. If I were them, I'd give her something very quickly. Insiders say that big budget films made directly for streaming no longer make financial sense under the company's new strategy. In June, Zaslav tapped MGM's Michael DeLuca and Pamela Adby to run Warner's, replacing Toby Emmerich, a very, very good decision. You see, there isn't much money to be made from streaming at the end of the day. Streaming does make money via its subscribers and sponsorships, but you can't be spending the kind of money you need to make an epic movie. Batgirl should never have been a streaming movie. This is the lesson here. Toby Emmerich made a mistake. The Warner Brothers CEO, Jason Keeler, made a mistake. You can't budget a Batgirl superhero movie for $90 million. It's not going to be a very good movie. This should have had 130 million, 200 million budget, and it should have been released theatrically. You got a Hispanic lead. This is Batgirl. This was handled badly. If this movie had the budget to go theatrical, this film wouldn't be shelved right now. Warner Brothers Discovery leadership had been looking to find $3 billion in cost savings after the merger of Warner Media, and Discovery closed in April. Major cuts along the way for the conglomerate have included streaming service CNN+, which cost $300 million before the plug was pulled a month after launch, and J.J. Abrams' pricey HBO originals, Demimonde, which aimed to have a $200 million plus budget. So that's been shelved as well. J.J. Abrams is about to be kicked out by Zaslav as well. Meanwhile, HBO Max has pared down its programming focus areas for originals, cutting the Gordita Chronicles after a single season as part of a strategy shift away from live-action kids and family programming. Linear networks under the Warner Brothers Discovery umbrella like TNT and TBS have also had originals cut in recent months. Under Keeler, Warner shattered the theatrical window, sending its 2021 slate day and date to HBO Max in a one-year experiment. And obviously this experiment didn't work. They were trying to uplift HBO Max because they didn't have any content for it. And the reaction and the outrage to day and date is as huge as the reaction and outrage to Leslie Grace's Batgirl being shelved. This is not what I think the studio expected. And so will they bend the knee and release this movie? I don't think so, because they need to be saving this money. They can't be spending this money on a dud. They could send it back to be fixed. They could give it a bigger budget. That would please everyone. It's probably what they should have done. I don't know what their plans are for the DCEU. If they're going to bin the DCEU, maybe that idea is problematic, but they could have gone back and relaunched the franchise and used Leslie Grace's Batgirl, remade the movie with a higher budget. So maybe that's what I would have done, but they are looking to save money, which is very problematic as well. Experiment. Now, Zaslav appears to be engineering a total about-face in emphasizing the importance of theatrical over streaming in terms of original movies. So why is Zaslav doing this? First of all, he's realized that streaming, you can't be spending lots of money. You can't spend 200 million on a streaming movie. But also, he's making it clear to people like Christopher Nolan, we're totally focusing on theatrical so he can get back creatives like Christopher Nolan. He's doing this on purpose. This is very important. He's trying to prove himself to auteur directors. Batgirl has travelled a winding road up to this point. Joss Whedon initially signed on to write and direct in 2017, then dropped out a year later. Now, this is important. Everyone celebrated Joss leaving his dream project. Everyone thought it was funny because of what he was accused of and what he did during Justice League. But we all laughed at that, but now everyone's outraged about this, and we have to think about why that is. Batgirl's directors who work under the name Aldi and Bilar boarded in 2021 as they were hot off of revitalizing the Bad Boys franchise. In January of this year, Grace shared the first look photo of herself in costume. She's actually deleted this from her Instagram now. I feel bad for her, I do. Along with a quote from the comic book Batgirl Year One, I used their expectations against them. That will be their weakness, not mine. Let them all underestimate me. And when their guard is down and their pride is rising, let me kick their butts. So that is it. They're the reasonings. They're the reasonings why this film has been cancelled, but are the reasonings bullshit? I absolutely agree with this decision of shelving the Batgirl movie. In practice, it makes sense. It's not David Zaslav's and Alan Horn's fault that Toby Emmerich was complicit and, bankrupt in every way, creatively. And as a business person as well, he was green-lighting stuff for streaming and theatrically, but mostly DC stuff that was going to cost a lot of money. The Green Lantern TV series was going to be one of the most expensive things. Do you think that's going to survive? Do you think Zaslav's not going to cancel that? He's going to want a Green Lantern project to be released theatrically. This is just the beginning, my friends. There's going to be a lot of huge announcements. Some you're going to like and some you won't. I said to you the other day, keep it here on Movies TV Mad. You're going to learn of some decisions that are going to make some people happy and some people really upset. I wasn't actually referring to Batgirl, but I was well in the know about Batgirl. Why is it that I knew what was going on and your Grace Randolphs and Campiers and your Boba Talks didn't have a clue? Because as I've explained to you before, I spent 6 months in Hollywood. I made a lot of contacts and a lot of friends who talk to me. There's some things that I'm told that I know now about the entertainment industry that I can never tell you. There's information about DC that I can only react to and I can't warn you about. In the coming weeks and months, I will preempt certain situations. I will do what I can for the fans, because you're like me, I'm a fan. I want the fans to know the truth. This is not David Zaslav's fault. Basically, the Batgirl, cancelling the Batgirl movie is like ripping off a sticking plaster off a gaping open wound. And, it's going to hurt right now. But eventually, when they fix the clusterfuck that is the DCEU, then you're going to be looking back and saying, this was a really good decision. But, this has cost Leslie Grace. Leslie Grace would have been Batgirl. If this film was going to be successful, which it wouldn't have done, this would have been destroyed by the critics. All the critics and all the pundits having a go at Zaslav and Discovery right now forbidding this movie would have destroyed this movie. Let's talk about the test screening reactions. I've spoken to a lot of people who have seen this movie. I've been told that this is a horrendous movie. I've actually got many pieces of paper where someone gave me a write-up highlighting the movie. So I know a lot about the Batgirl movie. It is not good, everyone. It's not Michael Keaton's fault, who's only in 15 minutes of this film. Now, it's a Batgirl film, so it should be about Leslie taking centre stage. The story of this film is pretty solid and pretty neat. I'll give Christina Hodson that. Yes, it's not lost on me that Christina Hodson wrote this film and she wrote the Flash movie. Now, a lot of people have made a good point. How can you shelve Batgirl, but then Ezra Miller, who's doing everything that he's done and committing the crimes, his Flash movie, for all intents and purposes, has a release date and it's still working out. So if the Flash movie does get released, it's because it cost them $200 million. It's cost them a lot of money. But have they got the same problem? Now, he's okay with releasing the Flash movie because it's going to theatres and it's the kind of spectacle that David Zaslav wants to see. Why will he, if he does cancel it or delay it again, why would that be? That it continues this, or it launches the multiverse strategy from Walter Hamada. Something that I feel won't be happening. I feel one of the reasons that Batgirl has been cancelled because that movie was the continuing strand of what was set up in Flashpoint. And they don't want to deal with that anymore. But when you knock one domino over, the rest will fall, everyone. And how does that work? Because Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, right, was after the Flash movie. Originally, it was going to come out this December. So surely that was going to be effective. Now, they have done some reshoots. They are doing some reshoots. It's interesting, bringing back Ben Affleck. Does the multiverse strategy not exist? Are they going back and deleting these situations? And what about Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which was going to be on well after Flashpoint? I mean, the thing is, are these characters aware that there's been a Flashpoint? Or are they just getting on with their lives? I think some of them don't know there's been a Flashpoint. So it's such a messy, difficult situation. Now, obviously, in Black Adam's favour, that was pre-Flashpoint. So that's not affected. So that's good. That film did what it wanted to do. It'll be interesting to see what people's reactions. So, yes, I'm absolutely shocked and stunned about the outrage about Batgirl being shelved. I didn't expect people to be this angry, but we have to be clear. We have to understand both sides of this, even though I understand that the DCEU has been a mess since day one, having Superman snap a villain's neck. BVS, a great movie, but certainly not one made for a commercial audience, and you have to ask why. As much as I like that film, it wasn't for a commercial audience. That's, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and then they tried to change up and change up and change up and got it wrong every single time. David Zaslav is making these decisions for financial reasons and for the future of DC live action. So there's a decision to be made yet again. Does David Zaslav bend the knee? Because look, the outrage is huge. Anyone who's got a Twitter account can see blue ticks. Everyone's reacting to this. This is like when J.R. Ewing was fucking shot. If there's any Dallas fans in the house, it's so huge. People are truly upset for the directors and Leslie herself. So is there a situation where they say, right, we've made a mistake, we better keep this movie? Well, from what I hear from test audiences, this movie isn't fit for purpose. So it would have to go back to the drawing board. That's all I can see. So all I can say about that, because, as I said earlier, you can't give a movie $90 million fucking dollars, a superhero movie that you expect to be good. This is on Toby Emmerich. This is on him, but he's gone now. And Discovery have to fix these problems. And they're going to have to be big decisions. You wait to the reaction when they cancel the Green Lantern streaming show, or when they sack Patty Jenkins as the director of Wonder Woman 3, which has clearly already happened because she keeps on lying for the past 2 years that she's still writing the script. Not happening. Patty Jenkins will not be involved in a third Wonder Woman movie. Maybe they'll give her a producer's credit. And there's lots of big decisions you're going to hear that are going to upset a lot of people. They would have known this at some level. What do they have to do now? They have bitten the bullet. They have cancelled the Batgirl movie, no matter what Twitter says. They have to stand firm. They have to stand by their decisions and rebuild a brilliant, awesome DC live action universe, because that's what you and me deserve. A DC live action universe we can be proud of, with individual movies and maybe some streaming shows, although it doesn't seem like they're going to be going down that direction. They need the right people or person to run a DC Studios and make the right decisions. This is going to take time, but I tell you what they do need. They need a big fucking announcement, and quickly, to stem the tide, because if they don't, these conversations are going to keep on coming. They need to divert the outrage very, very quickly. So it is harsh on the directors, who are very good directors. It is harsh on Leslie and Brendan Fraser, who's rebuilding his career after everything that happened to him. He was being harassed by a very powerful woman in Hollywood. He exposed her and she destroyed his career. Yes, something the extreme left in Hollywood don't want you to know. I stand by Brendan Fraser. Absolutely lovely man. Anyone who's ever met him will tell you that. So I feel bad for Brendan, but he's about to, I think he's actually shooting a film with a critically acclaimed director, which is cool too. These decisions that have been made and will be made are part of things that have to happen. These things are going to hurt a lot of people. And, you know, the outrage will continue, but David Zaslav and Discovery have to hold firm. They have to do this. They have to rip the plaster off the gaping open wound. But when the wound heals and we see a brilliant, rebuilt, awesome, epic DC live action universe, we're going to say that this decision was the right decision. But now, what does the future hold? Not just for DC and Warner Brothers Discovery. Can they turn the good ship Warner Brothers around? Because right now, its reputation is toast. Its reputation was toast before, but nobody was blaming Zaslav. Now people are blaming Zaslav and saying, this is the wrong decision. Why didn't they just release it on HBO Max? Because they have to still invest in post-production, marketing, and they don't want to do it. They don't believe that they would make enough money. But here's the truth. They don't believe the quality of the film is good enough for HBO Max. They don't want to. You see, what they're trying to send the message, because this is about the Christopher Nolan thing. Make no mistake, he was disgusted with the day and date. They're saying, look, Chris, and it's not just about Chris. It's about all auteurs who won't touch Warner Brothers because of day and date. That's, you know, Zaslav is saying, look, we could put this film on HBO Max. We could get some subscribers when we're not going to do it. The problem is they're also not going to release it theatrically because they don't believe they can make the money. These are very, very difficult, big decisions. Maybe they could have handled it a bit better, but if they take it back to the drawing board, they have to invest more money in it, and they're simply not willing to do that. In my opinion, ultimately, this is a hard decision, but it's the right decision. I would love to know what you think about this. So if you're new to this channel, just remember, over 6 months ago, I told you this was going to happen. When the Flash movie was delayed and other movies were rescheduled, I told you there was something going on. I sniffed the rat because I'm honest, because I give opinion. I don't just tell you the news. I don't just sit here for 5 minutes and fuck off. My little niece says, why are your videos so long? That's why you don't have so many subscribers and views. Because it's not about that for me. I want to talk about this stuff. I love this stuff. Superman the movie was the first film I ever saw it imprinted in my young mind. You know, and this stuff is important to me. And it's important that there's someone out there giving you the truth. Yes, the snake oil salespeople will make more money out of these platforms. But I don't need to do that. I need to talk genuinely and honestly about film. Batgirl has been shelved for many, many reasons. This franchise, this DC live action universe needs to be rebuilt. They should never have made the decisions they made from Man of Steel. Great film as it is. The decisions were wrong from day one, and they've been digging themselves holes and deeper holes, and they can't climb out of them. And now David Zaslav is here, a problem solver, a fixer, and he's going to do whatever is necessary to fix this studio and the DC live action universe. This is a big decision. There's bigger decisions that will shock you even more than this one. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe, and you'll get entertained every single day, and you'll get proper reaction. So please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. I will see you on Thursday's show. Until we see each other again, because parting is a sweet sorrow. Goodbye. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.